Hey folks, David at Jab to Win Finance with our weekly topic here, and it's going to be debt, and it's going to be a series, I think, because debt is such a huge concept. I'm not going to cover it all in one video. So I know in college I dreaded doing PowerPoints, so I dreaded watching them. But I think a lot of the times people weren't that passionate about what they were presenting on PowerPoints, and PowerPoint is simply a mechanism to convey the information as effectively as possible, and that's why people do it. But now I actually have a desire to use PowerPoint. It's kind of a weird deal because I've got passion, and this is one of the bigger topics, I think, and hopefully I can convey that passion and make a decent presentation here for you to understand. So, anyhow, first part of this debt series is going to be perception, and the subtitle here is Perception is Everything. One of my common phrases, catchphrases I like to say is attitude is everything. I believe that. I guess that's with life. And I think perception is everything with debt in regards to debt. And that's where it begins, is perception, obviously. And, we'll go into that a little more. So why is the concept of debt prevalently accepted today in the United States? And I'm going to analyze that real quick here. First is going to be culture, and it is in the culture. It's accepted. It's the way we think. It's instant gratification. By now, no payments for a year. If I'm sure anyone who's fallen for that one has paid dearly on that concept. Um, the culture is there's something, an underlying thing that you don't ever really hear too much about. It's a little deep. It's a little what's the word? I guess people are embarrassed by it, maybe, or just don't want to admit it. But bankruptcy is always in the back of people's minds. So since bankruptcy is so easy to do, there are no consequences, and that's ubiquitous now. I mean, that's why it's everywhere, and why it's widely accepted, I think. So I mean, it's just the culture. Another cultural phenomenon that I could think of, I wasn't alive during it, but in the 40s and 50s, smoking was cool. And turns out that was a real bad thing, with cancer and everything, and the toll on society and healthcare. Debt, I think, is just as bad. On a national level, we have $21 trillion worth of debt. I don't know. We've kind of, nipped smoking in the bud for the most part. Numbers have gone down drastically. People still smoke, but I don't understand why it's not happening with debt. It kind of might be with the student loan crisis, I think. That's kind of a wake-up call. But there's other promoters out there dead, and we need to stop that, because another point I want to tie in here is all debt is bad. There is no good debt. There is no bad debt. So let's get that kind of out of our minds. So another reason is values. We don't have the values that were instilled in the people. The generations of the Great Depression and World War II generation. Those people, unfortunately, have passed on. But I'm very proud to say both my parents are gone, but I did have my mother say one time to me that I think her parents told her was if you can't buy it with cash, then you can't have it. And that was just the way people thought back then. And that's when you have little possessions, as people in the Great Depression did, and rationing and everything in World War II, you learn to be thrifty, and you value money a whole different way than we do today. Saving was a real big thing back then. That value's just gone. I mean, I don't know what to say. It leads back to the instant gratification, I think. So that is That's why debt is accepted today. Is we don't frankly have the values anymore. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier. The few it works for, the few the debt works for, um, is a big problem right now. And I'm going to show you an example right now, and it's kind of my experience on YouTube. And I came across this guy. His name's Graham Stephan. Smart kid. I guess he's a real estate investor out of LA, sells high-end properties. I think he's all but 25 years old, maybe less than 30. I don't know. But he's got some great concepts. He's got great presentation. His YouTube channel's got 210,000 subscribers. It looks like that's pretty good. This video right here I came across the other day, 41,000 views. This right here, and then if you go into the comments, everyone is saying the same stupid things this guy is saying. And the whole video here is basically he's trying to distinguish between good debt and bad debt. Good debt is low interest, mortgages basically for his properties. Bad debt is high interest credit cards, and that's basically the conclusion of it. His title here is great. I'm over 1 million in debt. Lessons of leverage in business and real estate. Thank you, Graham Stephan. Lessons from a 25-year-old. Well, that's great because 41,000 people are watching this and commenting. The good thing is here, I like this number though. 83 people, including myself, gave it a thumbs down. So, anyways, hey, I go ahead and throw a comment out there. Basically, I'm just being a little sarcastic, but I was really surprised I got a reaction from him. And I think it was within an hour. Basically, I say, is this guy serious? I see a Dave Ramsey Jr. in the making here. I say that because Dave Ramsey did the same exact thing, and he lost his ass pretty much. So anyways, I kind of attack him, but I wasn't expecting to get a reply. I'm more or less trying to show these people how stupid they are. And the guy does reply, real estate is all about leverage, and goes back to his title. Why on earth would I ever pay off long-term super low interest rate debt on a cash flowing asset? It makes 0 sense. And my answer was, no, actually, risk. There's 2 reasons, risk and return on investment, and point being is this guy's out there and he is motivating people to accept debt. The problem is this 1 to 2% of people that can actually make debt work, which I'm not convinced this person can. But say, for example, that person that does the airline miles every month, pays off the credit card for 10 years straight, fine, you win. You can work with debt. You are 1 to 2% that I'm willing to bet that can do that successfully. At the end of the day, when you count all the numbers, it's going to be 1 to 2%. The rest of the population, people with human nature, they can't make it work. So we don't need you. Okay, don't just go over there in the corner and be quiet. And that's just that's the problem. It's the allure the very few people make here to the rest of the population. So it is what it is. When you see these guys, and this is probably a bad example because I really see this guy being bankrupt before long. But I could be wrong. But no, there's some very eerie similarities between him and Dave Ramsey's story. And it's funny that it's so ironic he's using Dave Ramsey here. Anyhow, so why is perception everything? Leads back to the original question posed. Perception is the start of the process. It's the very first thing. Perception is before, everyone does it. Before they want that car, and the first thing that comes to mind is finance. When they're on the lot, people who can't even afford a car, they'll go on the lot and say, hey, I can't even afford this, but they're expecting to, oh, have I got a financing deal for you? So the point is, it's the very first thing that comes to mind. So if you can start with the very first thing in mind is debt is bad, I'm not going to use debt, and that includes all debt. And go back to this good debt, bad debt concept. All debt is bad. Just I don't use debt is the great phrase. Dave Ramsey uses that. I hear him say that a lot. That'll stop it. That ends everything. There's no need to watch the other 3 videos or for the rest of this series. So that is, perception is everything. That's the initial, the start up there. Nip it in the bud now. Kind of went over that. Alright, so some solutions. Here we go. So this is mentioned in Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover book. He said it's the only time I've ever seen him mention it is in his book. And I think he had this this quest, to make a national money makeover. But he does say, like, hey, I want to, why not make a national money makeover? I mean, that is what he's doing. He's got millions of followers, and people are starting to get it and everything. But it's more or less, it's moving strong. I think that's our best bet right now is the Dave Ramsey movement. I'm going to call it the Dave Ramsey movement. And I think that is probably one of the stronger things going for us right now. But I think there's something else that might might make perceptions change. Oh, another question is, we on a one-on-one basis, and I have said this to somebody, when somebody tries to promote debt to me, 9 times out of 10, I'll say, how's that working out for you? They'll sit there and say how wonderful debt is and everything, and I just, how's that working out for you? Or we could do it your way. It's kind of, or when somebody, I guess, has a stack of bills in front of me, here's what it is. Somebody will have a stack of bills in front of me, or in front of me, and they'll sit there and say, well, hey, I got a problem here. Obviously, debt's a problem with me. And then they'll go and say, oh, but I think I still want a nice little American Express card after all this is done, and I'm out of debt. And it's just like, okay, we could do it that way, or let's do it your way, or not have debt at all. And kind of getting lost, going off on a tangent there, but yeah, how's that working out for you? That's always a good question to kind of wake people up, and that's Dave Ramsey. That's why I put as a subheading there. Don't be shy on social media. People do get, I guess, irritated when you talk money and stuff, but I've shaken a few trees on social media by going into debt, and I'll get that one person that says, debt's leverage, and I'll sit there and debate with them. But yeah, it's good social media is one of the better word of mouth mechanisms these days. So teach our children. That's probably one of the more important things. I remember, like I said earlier, I remember my mom and saying that phrase to me when I was very little, and that obviously stuck with me. And overall, guess what? I'm honestly in debt right now, and I'm trying to get out of debt. I've got like 13 or 14,000 left. My peak was 36, I think, 32 maybe. Mostly student loans. I've done the credit card things. But hey, it's not 50, it's not 100 grand, and a lot of people are up there. And I think a lot has to do with my perception of debt's always been a bad thing. I've never really embraced it, and I think a lot had to do with my my family. So, and then last but not least, hey, if none of this other stuff works, another Great Depression will do it. And I mean, I think that'll solve a few other things going on in this country right now in general. But yeah, we'll get humbled real quick once something major happens, and if we have World War II, rationing again, and things get bad, we're in a dust bowl, whatever. People will tend to change. We'll have another generation. I do say everything's cyclic, so I think this is kind of where we're heading. I have hope that the other three options could work first, but ultimately, if I were a bet man, I would bet on the last one there, and that's going to be a catastrophic event. It's going to nip the whole debt thing in the bud. That should do it. So, hey, thanks for watching. I get rambling a little bit, and I'm just doing this to better myself and kind of document my financial quest here. Thanks again, and